Hey, deep dive question and answers for you all. I'm hoping, I know this is all so still new, but I'm hoping that you find it helpful for me to answer some of these questions. And I say it on other videos, but I just feel like, I don't know, for some reason I feel like it needs to be repeated, but I'm using myself and my examples to speak to the humanity of all. Like I'm speaking to the universal self through me. And this is one of the ways I learn. If somebody doesn't put a lesson in like a personal story or a metaphor, I have a hard time really understanding things at a deep level. I've noticed that there's certain teachers out there. I was even listening to I've been kind of testing the waters with some new astrology teachers, and there's some that are quite well known and deeply loved. And I'm like, why can't I resonate? Why can't I hear what this person is saying? Like, they're doing such good work in this field, and I know that, but I'm realizing it's like the language that they're using, that it's just it can't land in me. So hopefully this helps. And it's so interesting that I should decide to do videos in Medium, and then I get this bizarre eye allergy that nobody so far can help me with. So I've got a lot of weird medicine on my eyes. I went to the doctor today and I'm like, what do you think's going on? He's like, God, I have no idea. What's wrong with you? Like, wow, so glad I came to see you, doc. Anyway, I really just went for a referral for a dermatologist, but then what? It's going to be more creams to just deal with superficial layers of this, because I'm looking for the metaphysical root. Sitting with it. Sometimes answers take a while to come in. Ooh, I've got so much more to say about that. I'm going to say it on a different video about answers coming in, or I might say it later. Anyway, let's get to these. So I'm looking at the deep dive questions. Number 6, suffering and love as catalysts. Now, I'm going to do my best to verbalize here, but the words I use never feel like they're getting to the truthiest truth of the thing, but it's the medium, so I've got to use the words. And hang on. I don't really know what I'm trying to say. It's like I'm really looking for like a deeper truth in these answers. Like I want to answer them as really and as authentically as I can. It's so hard for me to articulate sometimes that, but I have a desire to connect with people through talking, through different experiences. So I have this deep desire to put it across in the best way possible so that you can hear it and get something from it, and hopefully you use it to some benefit for yourself. So we'll see what comes across. Okay, so these are the deeper dive questions. So this is questions 1 through 3 under number 6, suffering and loss as catalysts. So number 1, how do you process the pain or joy that arises during transformative experiences? 2-part answer. The first one feels a little more expected. Second one, less expected. So currently, I will process pain or joy, number 1, by talking to somebody. It can be 2 people max, but it's more and more getting to the point where I can only say it once, and any more than that, it feels exhausting and like it's not beneficial. Like I just have these feelings in my body of like, it doesn't, it feels like it shouldn't be draining energy from me, but helping me feel relieved or better. So I take those signals from my body seriously. And so a trusted, wise being, I can really share experiences with that usually one person in detail, and like nitty gritty at the moment detail. I have been spending time outside in nature, cutting wood, raking branches, moving rocks and soil and mulch and things like this. And then when I need a rest, I'm doing some crafting. And I've done that for many years. And right now I'm doing, oh, it's right here. Look, I can show you. It's called diamond dots. So check this out. Look how sparkly. That's so funny that I just had it right in front of me. So all those teeny tiny little pieces, you've got to put them on there with a stylus one at a time. And normally I'm not following a pattern that's pre-made. I'm putting it on something else. I just like working with those small little pieces, and I do all sorts of different crafting things, but there's for some reason I'm drawn to this lately. And I liked those flowers. I may cut them and put them on a foam head. I found in a craft store some like foam heads. I don't know why I'm drawn to put it on that, but there's something even right now about following this formula to where I'm not even engaging that extra creativity. I can get really focused, and it's just this very gentle, repetitive, easy, meditative thing, which is similar to this sort of work that I'm doing on the land with the cutting of the wood and everything. It's like, I won't explain it all now because it would just take forever, but this metaphor for my own life is coming through when I'm doing these simple practices, such as the diamond dots or the yard work. I'm getting an immediate life message from it, and it's like, wow, I'm just out here relaxing in nature, outside, or working on this, and like these profound insights are coming through. And it's like I'm not even working for them. All right, I'm back. Had to take a water break. Also, meditation. I'm processing a lot. I've said some of this already in one video, so I won't repeat, but some new thing is happening with my meditations lately where I'm not going into like a void space of total silence, but it's more like I'm getting this roll or stream of images from my past, and it's like pieces are all coming together, and I'm having these aha experiences in the meditation. And writing is another way. Like just answering these questions on paper. This membership itself, creating this membership itself is, I want to use the exact wording here, helps me to process the pain and the joy that arises during transformative experiences. Because I'm sharing in these videos, not all of, because a lot of it still feels like it needs to be processed and it's just too big for me to even all unpack or understand, but sharing it in this creative format, any creative format. Geez, I heard the other day a couple of different writers talking about why they had to write their books. They said they were not able to understand their own life experience. Like it wasn't sitting comfortably inside of them or like in a harmonious way until they made sense of it in a story on paper. So really any creative act feels like a strong way to process the emotions that arrive, same, during transformative experiences. The second part of this answer that feels more unexpected is from a chiropractor. He was telling me something that he had learned about the Food and Drug Administration, and it was upsetting to hear. I really like this guy, but he says some stuff that I'm like, should you be sharing this with your patients right now? Because it's a little upsetting what you're saying, sir. So I was like kind of worked up at what he said. And he goes, "Oh, hey, wait. He goes, this was so helpful for me. He goes, don't be so intense about it. Just be aware. And I was like, that was worth every penny I paid to come see you. Like, nobody could have said something better to me. Don't be so intense about it. Just be aware. And that mantra, anytime I accidentally hear something on the news that sounds upsetting, don't be so intense about it. Be aware. Now, this translates with feelings of joy and suffering, because I have had to learn over the years to not let these feelings get too far away from me. When I was younger, I could easily spin out on joy, like total joy addict. And I wanted every experience to be an ecstatic experience, and it would spool me up. Like I would rev the feeling of joy up. I would milk it so much that I would like rev myself up into almost a manic experience, which I thought were great and really fun, but they're exhausting. And I would do the same with like more suffering emotions, sadness, darkness. And I was doing a whole lot of writing then, and it seemed to like be serving my writing. But I've learned to write what feels like deeply the same amount of depth, but without spinning off into the light or the dark. It's like that chiropractor's line seems kind of perfect for it. Like, hold on, don't be so intense about it. Be aware. So when joy arises, I kind of sit with it as it is, instead of trying to ride it into something greater. And same with the suffering or the sadness, kind of slow down my own thought process and just be with what is. Don't be so intense about it, but just be aware. So anyway, those, I'm certain you'll have very different answers, but these are some of mine for number one. Number two, what does it mean to approach suffering or love as a doorway rather than an end point? Where are we? Since we were just on that topic of what that chiropractor had said, instead of putting a meaning on something, which I can often do, my curious mind can get the better of me, and I want to know why. I want to know why, and where is the suffering coming from? Is there something that I'm doing to encourage this? Like I will overly inspect the thing, and I will want to put a meaning on it. But meaning feels like closed, end point. Same with love. And there was also a point that I felt like if I were feeling bad or suffering in some way, I would think, what am I? I've said this before. I had this story in my head of like, what am I doing wrong here? Like, what am I doing to encourage this? If I am the creator of my reality, what am I doing to encourage this? But I've had to broaden that definition because it feels really destructive and painful to have that thought process of, if I'm feeling bad, what am I doing wrong? I mean, that's, who is that going to serve? So what did I have written down here? Instead of allowing to mean, God, my handwriting is so, I release and go to, hang on. Aha. When I notice myself attempting to close the thing off with meaning, it's like I can use now this, what the chiropractor said, and don't be so intense about it by overthinking it and closing it up with a meaning, but remain aware, which is an open state, like an open doorway. So an end point is closed, putting meaning on it, and we are the meaning makers. We are the ones who create the meaning of anything. I don't need to give you an example about that because I will just go off on a tangent. I'm working on cutting some of the tangents down, y'all. So there's that. And the last thing I want to share about that answer is this. I have read this for many years to a lot of different classes. It's just one of my absolute favorites. So it's a reading by Martha Graham. And this came into my head and my heart when I was reading through this question. What does it mean to approach suffering or love as a doorway rather than an end point? Because I thought, wow, that's an interesting question, and I don't think it's that easy to answer. But here's the short reading that came to my mind. One of my favorites. You've got to look this up and read it and like tattoo it to yourself. Okay. There is a vitality, a life force, a quickening that is translated through you into action. And there is only one of you in all of time. This expression is unique, and if you block it, it will never exist through any other medium and be lost. The world will not have it. It is not your business to determine how good it is, nor how it compares with others, with other expression. It is your business to keep it yours clearly and directly, to keep the channel open. You do not even have to believe in yourself or your work. You have to keep the channel open. You have to keep open and aware directly to the urges that motivate you. Keep the channel open. No artist is ever pleased. There is no satisfaction whatsoever at any time. There is only a queer, divine dissatisfaction, a blessed unrest that keeps us marching and makes us more alive than others. This is so helpful to me, because sometimes I can find myself comparing what it is I'm doing with like maybe a former colleague or something, and that's so painful. It really is the thief of joy, that whole comparison. It's an ugly feeling to me. And this is what makes me think about this reading. It is not your business to determine how good it is, nor how it compares with other expression. So what does it mean to approach suffering or love as a doorway? That keeps it open for me. If I start judging what I'm doing or I'm creating, it's closing a door. It's like putting a meaning on it and closing a door. But if I can release that and go, what other people are doing is none of my business. How other people are doing things is none of my business. My business is to keep tuning into the information that is coming to me through my own guidance system, my unique, meaning one, guidance system. Keeping it open, that is my business. That's that open door. So it's like, God, some of these great poems and written insights are just, they save me. They save me regularly. So that's Martha Graham, Graham. I think if you just Google, there is a vitality, a life force, and Martha Graham, it'll pop up. So number 3. Bop, 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 where are you? Oh, we're here. How can you integrate the lessons of transformation into your daily life in a way that feels authentic? So I'll give my brief written answers, and then I'll just expound upon a couple of them. So I wrote poetry, journaling, 12-step writing, meditative writing, creating this creative membership, and practicing presence and practicing mindfulness. When I look at this list, I see practices that slow me down. It's like there's a certain speed of truth. Now, I don't think there's just one speed. I had a theory I won't get crazy into, but I had like this theory that truth comes in stillness and at very high speeds. I said it to like this famous energy worker on this retreat in Bali, and she goes, "You have no idea how right you are." And I was like, "What? Really?" Yes. But like, think about it, sitting in like a meditative state, totally still, like the Buddha under the Bodhi tree, and all of this truthful insight comes through in that perfect stillness of body, stillness of mind, stillness of energy. But then I was thinking about the, what is it called? The adrenaline rush that you get. What do they call them? Like adrenaline junkies, like a skydiver, or somebody who's going on, on like water skis on the back of a boat. There's this exhilaration that comes with certain high speeds, going very, very fast on a scooter or a motorcycle or something. And if you've ever had that rush of adrenaline and there's this excitement and joy, I have had the experience of that becoming its own form of like aha coming in through that very high state. So, but I guess my life is a lot more quiet and slow these days, because all of my practices are slower. And I think it's these acts, it's the poetry. I've told many of you that was my big study. I mean, my whole career really was centered around it for many years. The first iteration of my life in, I guess, the career world. And I think I use visual images when I'll just write about a visual image, and the metaphor, the larger thing that image represents, just immediately starts to come through. And it's almost like just these images that are just coming to me one after the other they're speaking to me about myself. They're telling me this larger story. They're giving me these larger insights. So that art form in particular is very helpful for me. It's like I learn from doing it, and I'm like, whoa, I didn't even know this information existed in the world. And it really all came through metaphor, through these simple images. So that's a big one. If I keep a journal with me when I'm in a meditative state, there are times that these images start to roll through, and because sometimes I'll try to stop thought, but there's other times where a more random thought occurs to me. It's not like my everyday, like, oh God, what am I supposed to be doing first? What's the work I need to be doing today? It's almost like some more random thought, maybe from the past, shows up. And so I allow that to come in, and I'm not overthinking it or anything, but I'm also not removing my attention from it completely. These are subtle shifts that I think we learn in quieter practices like meditation. And if I write them all down, I'll start getting this pattern of insights from these images that come through. So that's what I meant by the meditative writing. Creating this membership, or this evolving your consciousness experience, has helped me to integrate the lessons big time. For some reason, teaching and continuing on in this new medium really helped me integrate this stuff into my daily life. And it does feel authentic, and it feels like something I love to do. And it's especially it just, the world feels very chaotic and fast and frenetic and frenzied right now. I'm having to be a lot more quiet. It's taking a lot for me to make some of these videos. And sometimes it's like all of the verbal energy I have goes here. And I've had to even tell some friends that I used to talk to a lot more often. I said, yo, I'm in a nonverbal space. I'm just really not available right now. It is obviously too much for me. And I trust that, and I have to trust that these people won't take it personally. They will have they are of the consciousness to know that it is not personal, that it's an energetic boundary for me for a reason. And I know that can be hard for some of us to do, but I mean, I feel like that's why we're even doing work like this, on a really practical level. Why do I want to evolve my consciousness? Well, I was exhausted from being a people pleaser and, feeling bad, saying, no, I can't talk to you right now. And, maybe I can't talk to you for the next 12 months. And I'm having less and less of a hard time doing that and trusting that, I mean, and some people might not take that well, and they might take it personally, but they are going to learn about themselves through that process. And I am allowing them to have that. We are, if we set boundaries like that, it may feel like a hard gift to give, but to me it is a gift. Goodness gracious. My point was to talk about presence. So I've cut down time spent on technology, besides things like this that I'm doing for the labor of love that I have in the world. Not work, labor of love. And cutting down conversations with people, spending more time out on the land, and not always having information coming into my ears. I've been playing very gentle music. It's almost like this bluegrass music that just feels really kind of cozy and safe. And for some reason, that's what I'm drawn to lately. Instead of listening to words all the time. And I'm in school, and I've got to listen to a lot of videos and do a lot of reading of scientific articles, and that's just a lot of information in. So when I have time away from that, tuning into nonverbal things like music, and then sometimes I'll start to dance around, and that feels really good for my body and my spirit, my energy. Stomping around to the bluegrass music. And that all of that quiet time has allowed me to make sure I am staying present. Now, I know it feels like such a trite thing to say, but to me, it's making all of the difference. Because I was realizing, maybe last week, I was like, what is this feeling of irritation that kept coming up in me? So I kind of forced myself to look at my thinking a little bit more. I'm like, I'm just watching, where are my thoughts going? I become conscious of where my mind is regularly during the day. And I go, do you want to be thinking about that right now? And a lot of the time it's no. That was like a runaway train thought. And I get into the present. Like I'm looking at this painting that I have on the wall, and I'm noticing the gold and the white and the red and the blue and the gray and the different lights I have on in the room, and all just the warm things that are surrounding me right now. And I'm regularly doing that and going, this is life. And it's so rich as it is. My cat is here. There's people in the house. I'm spending time outside of the van because it's freezing cold, and it's so nice to be in a nice warm open space, and it's so nice that I can go back and forth between those things. When I don't want to be in this space, I can go into the other space, and I'm like appreciating what is in my present moment. And hold, please. You know, I think that is the integrating of the lessons of transformation. I think that that moment that I'm coming back to the present is the moment of integration. It's like I'm changing my life. It's like something, the energy, I feel like the energies just took a leap up. It got faster, it got higher, it got more chaotic, and I was taking it on, and it's like I lost control of my own awareness there for a while, and my thoughts were leaning toward future tripping, getting a little bit worried about things, and it can still happen. I have to do this work all of the. I have to catch myself all of the time. This getting present thing, God, I probably do it hundreds of times in a day, and that's what the practice is, of coming into presence. Since I upped my level of silence, I've closed off some talking with some people, and I just safeguarded my own energy even more. And I've been working on this presence more. I feel much more relaxed and comfortable. And God, just enjoying like this silly little thing like these diamond dots. It's like you've got to find the satisfaction in the moment, in the small things. Otherwise, the big things aren't going to feel satisfying. They're not going to feel good. So I work on, when I'm doing that practice, I pay attention to the colors. I really love the colors of this one, the orange and the pink and the red and the maroon and the green. I love these colors. And when I open a new little bag of all the colors, I go, oh my God, that orange is so vibrant and bright. And I really appreciate it. And it sticks to this little stylus with wax. Whoop, goes on the end of this. This is my pencil, but the stylus looks like a pencil. And you put a little piece of wax here, and you dip it on that tiny little crystal, and then you put it on that page I showed you. And it's a sticky page, so it kind of makes this sound of like, so the color and there's sound and there's a feeling. I even got really quiet and slow about cutting a cucumber earlier, and I was like, damn, I got to incorporate this into some writing down the road. Because if you really just are with the thing in front of you, it's kind of a miracle. If you tune into the miracle that it is. That feels important. And the mindfulness. Practicing the presence and the mindfulness is me catching myself. I'm not just letting my mind go. I have to watch it much more closely these days. I have to watch my psychic input. You know, the news is not on, that information really is not coming in. I'm staying very gently aware, but I really cutting it down because my health and my nervous system are my priority. Sorry, not sorry. So those two things. Let me look at that one more time. How can you integrate the lessons of transformation into your daily life in a way that feels authentic? That feels like the change itself. And I know that I am now. My energy lives here in the now. It doesn't live in the past, doesn't live in the future. There is only the now. So if the whole point of this theme is unlearning